So, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We discuss all things golfing and streetwear, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about what is probably the most unexpected collab, at least to me, of the year. And I would say that a lot of people share my same sentiment, even up to the point that when we posted this on Golfing Reporters, a lot of people thought this was a fan-made collaboration and not an actual collaboration between Golf Wang and NASA. And as I'm sure you all can imagine, I have a lot of thoughts to share about this collab and give you guys a little bit of insight as to why this collab actually happened. But before we move forward with the video, I just want to go ahead and shout out my clothing brand, Maintic. I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that's been supporting the Clocks Ticking button-ups and also the State of On Truckers and Divine Icons tees that we have available on the site right now. You should be seeing some samples up here next to my head. The outpouring of support has been amazing, and I thank each and every one of you all that decided to support the brand. It's been a lifelong dream of mine to do this, and to see the support from you all means the absolute world, and I'm so happy that you guys are enjoying your button-ups. The button-ups are personally my favorite piece that I've ever made. It's been a lifelong dream of mine to make cut and sew specifically, and I'm so happy with how everything turned out, and I'm so happy to see that all of you guys are enjoying yours as well. So yeah, guys, if you're interested, you should be seeing some images up next to my head, and the link will be down in the bio below. So definitely check that out if you guys are interested. And once again, thank you to everybody that's been showing support this far. But with all that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. So as I'm sure a lot of you have seen by now, we got an announcement of a collaboration between Golf Wang and NASA, which is something that not a lot of people expected, myself included. And there have been a short list of brands that I personally kind of not really expected, because you can never really like expect a collaboration, which is good because with any clothing brand, you don't really want a lot of predictability and things like that. But I did, at least to me, I had a lot of brands on my list that I've kind of, not really, like I said, not really expected, but just that kind of made sense to me for Golf Wang to collaborate with. But NASA was not anywhere near that list. I did not expect a Golf Wang and NASA collaboration, really, like, ever. I think it took a lot of people by surprise. But after reading up a little bit on this collaboration and kind of like why the two brands collaborated, it did make a little bit more sense to me. So this collaboration is actually in celebration of NASA's Artemis program, which, if any of you don't know what that is, it's a mission or kind of like a space agency kind of. I don't really know the specific details, but it's some sort of mission that NASA's doing to eventually establish a base camp on the moon. And then after a few years, probably a lot of years, to be honest, they want to eventually establish a base camp on Mars as well. And they're having their first ever launch for their first mission to kind of kick things off with establishing the space camp on the moon and stuff. This mission was actually supposed to happen yesterday, but unfortunately they had some issues with like the rocket or something like that, and the mission got delayed, so I assume that's why this collaboration also got delayed as well. And I'm kind of going off topic here, but it is so crazy to be on this channel talking about like missions to space and things like that. I never thought that I would be talking about this, but here we are. It's just kind of crazy to think about. So they did this collaboration in celebration of that mission, and another thing that's actually really cool about this collaboration is the shoes, the hats, the t-shirts and stuff, they're actually going to be worn on air by the Artemis team for every broadcast involving this mission. So it's really cool. It's not just a simple collaboration that they're doing like a one-off thing. They actually got together and made clothing pieces for the NASA team to actually wear, which is really cool in my opinion, regardless of what you think about the clothes personally. I think that concept and what they actually accomplished is really crazy, because I mean, it's like a moment in history, like this mission setting up a base camp on the moon and eventually Mars, and to have Golf Wang involved in that in really any way is kind of insane, because NASA has been around for, you know, decades, longer than probably anybody watching this channel or anybody involved in Golf Wang has been alive, all the way back into the 60s. And to see them collaborating with Tyler and with Golf, like I said, regardless of what you think about the clothes, I personally think is really sick. And honestly, after I got that background information, it made me at least approach this collaboration a little bit differently than I was before. So getting that background information, understanding why they're collaborating and kind of the reasoning behind it, and the fact that these clothes are actually going to be worn by the people involved in the mission, I personally think is really sick. So moving on from that, we've got a couple of images, which you've probably been seeing a few next to my head already. The first thing, and really kind of the main focus, of course, of this collaboration is the Converse shoes. So these Chucks don't actually have any Golf Wang branding or any sort of Golf Wang pattern on them, so I'm a little loose personally to call them a Golf Wang shoe, but nonetheless, it is technically a Golf Wang collaboration with Converse. It looks like we've got some sort of like, it looks like, you know, and this is probably a lot of people probably looked at this pattern and saw different things. But the first thing that I thought about when I looked at this pattern was some sort of like heat wave, or there's like heat signature pictures that you see around all the time, similar to that all over the shoe. And they decided to go with a clear insole on these, which really honestly gives it a little bit more of kind of like a futuristic feel, which does fit a little bit more with the kind of idea of this Artemis program and what they're making this collaboration for. Now, these shoes personally, they are not my style, and I'm sure they're probably not a lot of people, you know, as a part of the core Golf Wang fan base, probably not their style either. And I don't personally feel like these shoes are any indication of where Golf Wang designs are going to be going in the future. And once again, Golf Wang was far from the only company involved in this. You of course had Converse, which I'm sure had a huge say, at least for these specific shoes, as to what the shoes looked like. A lot of the design process was probably handled by Converse, and I'm sure NASA, of course, actually had a lot of say into what the final design of this shoe was going to look like. So I don't personally love these shoes, and once again, I don't personally think they really fit Golf Wang, if that makes sense. However, like I said, there was a lot more companies involved than just Golf Wang on this product. They were even involved with Oxcart Assembly. Forgive me if I'm saying that incorrectly. I honestly have no idea what that is. But this was technically, depending on how you looked at it, a collaboration between 4 different companies, being Oxcart, Assembly, Golf Wang, Converse, and NASA. So it was really probably a collective decision between all companies into what the final product and really all products were going to look like. So I feel like that's kind of why we've got a lot of products that don't necessarily fit Golf Wang. I know I've seen a lot of people saying that, and I personally do agree. But like I said, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing or anything that Golf Wang has done incorrectly. I just feel like with there being so many players, this final design wasn't 100% their idea. But once again, I obviously don't know. But moving on from the shoes here, getting into the clothes really quickly, they have some sort of like a trench coat type deal. It looks a little bit like some sort of like a dress or something like that, some sort of full uniform. And that big logo there on the chest is the Artemis logo, if you guys were wondering, which once again doesn't have a lot of golf branding and doesn't really look like any sort of like Golf Wang style of clothes that we've been used to in the past, which once again leads me to believe that NASA and Artemis had a big say into what these final designs came about, which is one thing that I kind of, once I found that out, I kept in mind moving forward. So moving on from that, we've got some t-shirts coming in this kind of like some sort of like a tie-dye type design, which once again has a really minimal Artemis logo there in the middle. And then we've got the 2 crew necks with the NASA logo on the sleeve, Artemis logo in the middle. And then we've got something which Golf Wang is really known for, are the chore jackets with the NASA logo and the Artemis logo. Once again, we don't see any golf branding on these pieces. So that's kind of what we're seeing with these clothes so far, which is, like I said, a common thing we see moving forward. My personal favorite thing that they made out of this collab was the hats. I actually do really enjoy the hats. I think that this kind of cream with this NASA like spiral logo, one down here in the corner, which you should be seeing next to my head, is my personal favorite from this collection. And I do actually really like this USS Portland Artemis one up here in the corner. As you all know, I've been really into vintage recently, and this hat does give me like a vintage kind of military type feel. So I do actually like this hat as well. And then of course the classic NASA logo down in the bottom. And moving on from that, we've got that same gradient pattern here on the middle of these hats, just kind of in like a block, which I personally thought was weird. I wasn't a huge fan of these hats. I honestly think it would have been really cool to do some sort of like a nylon sports style cap and just do this kind of whatever kind of gradient pattern you want to call it all over the hat on kind of like a nylon style. I think that would have been really cool, but I digress. The only golf branding that we actually have on these hats is embroidered on the back. We have Golf Wang, which we didn't actually see that embroidery on the first hats that we looked at, but I would definitely assume that we are going to be having that branding on all the hats. And then we've also got some hats with just that Artemis logo and some NASA branding, and of course that Golf Wang embroidery on the back. And finishing out the collab, we just have a few rubber patches, which actually look really high quality, finishing out the collaboration. So first and foremost, the way I'm looking at these pieces is that NASA was the biggest player in this collaboration and not Golf Wang. It looks like Golf Wang was kind of just brought in, at least, you know, from what I've been able to see, to give a few pointers and make these clothes appeal more to like, you know, our demographic of people, because they want these clothes to kind of appeal more to like younger audiences and stuff like that, which they said in the article, which I will also link down in the bio below if any of you guys are interested in reading a little bit more about this collab. It looks like the biggest players in this were NASA and Artemis. I don't look at this in the sense of a traditional collaboration between most brands, with there being like 4 companies involved and with everything surrounding this. So there is a reason behind it. It's not just like Golf Wang wanted to jump in on this like NASA hype train and just throw a NASA logo on a bunch of stuff and just sell it. Because as you all know, that NASA hype, the ship has long sailed. Once upon a time, everybody was craving like the NASA hoodies and stuff like that. But honestly, nowadays, there's not really much hype surrounding those type of pieces. So I don't really view this in any way as Golf Wang like trying to cash in on collaboration or things like that. that, we don't really know. And other than the article that I've been talking about and that I've linked down in the bio below, we don't have much more information on this collaboration. We don't know a release date or anything like that. And the announcement of this collaboration was really quiet as well. I know a lot of people didn't even hear about it. None of the official players involved in this have announced it yet. I haven't seen anything from Golf, anything from Converse, anything from NASA. I haven't seen any of them say anything about this collaboration, but I would definitely assume that we're going to be seeing something like that here in the near future. So we'll just have to stay tuned for a little bit more information on this collab, and maybe we'll figure out what role Golf Wang played in this, or a release date if any of you guys are interested in picking anything up. But for the most part, guys, that's all the information that we have about this collab. Definitely comment below and let me know your thoughts on this collab. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you somewhere in the middle? And as always, guys, if you like this kind of content and you would like to see more, definitely like this video and subscribe to the channel. I have a ton of golf and streetwear content coming moving forward. That'll do it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for checking this out. I'll see you in the next one.